All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have the opportunity to interview this beautiful powerhouse, the quartet girl from Memphis, Tennessee. We've seen her with Lisa Knowles Smith and the Brown Singers, and now she's branched off with her solo album, one of my favorite songs, Great Big God. Ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, I welcome to you Lisa Knowles Smith. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for
Good.
being on Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. As we talked a little bit before the call, I'm such a huge fan of yours and the Brown Singers. So tell me, who is Lisa Knowles Smith?
For years I've gone by saying, I'm quartet girl, but now, in retrospect, I think I would consider myself to be a creative. I am all things family, all things music, and all things Jesus. So I guess I know I'm on the right show in the right place at the right time. But I'm a person who loves God, very outspoken, very for doing what's right. I've always been like that ever since a child. Since I was a child, I was always the person that you're supposed to never correct like your parents and stuff like that. I'd be like, Mama, now you know that was wrong.
Oh
I've
yeah, me
always
too.
been the
Yeah.
person that is for what is right. And I live my life by that, whether it's music, whether it's church, whether it's politics, whether it's, whatever it is, I'm always for what's right. So, I'm just one of them people that's not victim to what I do, but I actually walk in my own lane. I have my own voice, and I do what God has called me to do.
That's awesome. I like that. Because we're around the same age and I'm like that as well. Like, Mama, come on now. I love you, but you didn't handle that right. Or,
Right.
if I see like, you was wrong
Yeah.
for what you did. So you've been
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
since 3. And so the Brown Singers was already established. From my understanding, the Brown Singers was already established. You
Right.
start leading at 12. Tell me about
Right.
that.
Wow, yeah. So I was born into this singing family. My mother, my grandmother, my dad played the bass. It was just pretty much a family group. And about 9 years old, the group was going through some changes, transitions. And I told my grandma, I was like, look, I can sing. She was like, girl, no, you can't. I said, yes, I can. She said, okay. They gave me a mic, let me sing. 12, our main lead singer, her mom passed, and she decided to go and focus on her family a little bit more, which I totally understand now. And my mom and grandmother did at the time. And I said, well, we got to keep going. I never forget my mom sitting on the steps of our house, on the stairs inside the house, and she was crying so bad. And my grandmother said, well, look, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep going or do you want to stop? My mom, and I'm looking at her and I'm 12. I'm like, come on, we're going to keep going. We're going to just keep doing this thing. Now here I am, a kid.
Right.
And we went to Humboldt, Tennessee, and we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. The main lead singer was gone. You know how groups have their setup. You got
Right.
this song. My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother was the talker. She was the stick. I was supposed to end my song and give the mic back to my grandmother, but I did not. The Holy Ghost took over. I began to exhort in the spirit, and here we are some 20 years later. I'm still doing the same thing.
And you are a powerhouse, I tell you that. I mean,
Wow.
of course, work on me, but me and my mom's favorite is what the Lord has done for me is my favorite.
Yes.
And then I like the one, I know it was Jesus, pulling me through.
Yeah.
That one right there has blessed a lot of people. I listen to that song nearly every single day, pulling me through because it's such a testimony. But I gotta ask you this. So you all, the Lisa Brown Knowles Smith and Lisa Knowles Smith, I'm sorry, I'm putting you as a Brown.
That's
Lisa
okay.
Knowles Smith and the Brown Singers, you all won 2 Stellar Awards, right? But then in 2012, you decided to sing backup for people like Zacardi Cortez, Kiara Sheard, James Fortune, and Fire. What made you do that?
Well, actually, I met James in 2010. And I was already kind of hidden and missing. We had done stuff with Ernest Pugh, and we had sang. I was always one of the singers when they bring stuff to Memphis. We had sang for Kirk Carr, John Lawrence, different little things that we had done. And I met James, and they called me, and I went to the group, and I was like, look, I have an opportunity to learn. For me, it's always I took that opportunity because going with James was a different thing. So I traveled with James Fortune and Fire for 2.5, 3 years, and did a couple of records with him, did videos, did all kinds of stuff. But the experience for me was so different because here we are. We have quartet on one side, which is kind of a culture within itself, has its own way of doing things, own style of music, own everything. And being with James offered me two opportunities. One, to serve, to learn how to just serve. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times in Christianity, we've taken out the servanthood part of things.
Absolutely.
We want to go straight to the top. We want to be the, we want to be the main attraction. We want to be, everything will be about us. But I wanted to learn. And in order to learn, you have to put yourself in the servant's position, in position to learn. So I traveled with him and met some amazing people. And I'm going to tell you something about James Fortune. One powerful thing he told me when I started singing with him in 2012, I went on a One Love cruise. That was my first show out with him. I was on a boat for a whole week. Bless my heart. He told me, he pulled me to the side because he and I had never had a conversation. I pretty much had dealt with just his team. They flew me there. We got on the boat and he pulled me to the side. He was like, look, I know this is going to be different for you. He was like, but listen to me. Every good opportunity is not a God opportunity. Wow. He said, I feels like this is a God opportunity. So every time I give you that mic, you just let go and let God have his way with you. And that's what I did for 2.5 years. Every time he gave me the mic, I just let God just whatever. I just would lose myself in that moment. And because of that, it opened so many doors, so many opportunities, so many connections were made, so many resources I got access to. And today he's still my brother. He still does the same thing. He still calls me and say, look, I got something for you. So, every now and then God, he does that, divine, we never know what the divine order of our lives are going to be, but we got to be open and receptive. And in the spirit of discernment, know when it's a God opportunity and not just a God opportunity.
I like what you said. He told you that every good opportunity is not a God opportunity, right? Yeah. Because the devil knows what we like. And the devil has a way of looking pretty, but it's only a matter of time before the devil reveals himself. He can only wear the mask for so long. Yeah. And so speaking of opening doors, I really like the track that you, Fantasia, and Erica Campbell did. That was amazing. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, wow. I got a chance to meet Erica Campbell and Warren through James. Actually, we were on in the Bahamas. It was my first time ever actually meeting them. And they just went crazy when I got ready to sing. And I found out they love quartet. And actually one day on Instagram, Erica made a post, and I call her E. E made a post and said, what if I got Lisa Knowles, Smith, Fantasia, and at the time it was supposed to be Leandria as well, on I Need a Little More Jesus remix, and everybody just went crazy. My phone was blowing up, like people were screenshotting and sending it to me like, Eric Kim want to sing for you. I was like, I was going crazy. And they reached out and we made it happen. And they're some of the most amazing people. There are really still people that really just have a heart after God. And I just want to, we kind of use the platforms to spread the message, but we don't let the, I don't know if I can say this line, but I'm real. So you got to pray for me. I remember on Players Club, Diamond told her cousin Ebony, she said, look, make the money. Don't let the money make you. Right. And I feel like that about gospel artists and our platforms. We have to make the platform and not let the platform make us. Absolutely. So, just every moment, I try to make a God moment.
Yeah, you do that very well. Tell me about your new album, Great Big God, my favorite.
I did a recording actually in 2019, a live recording. I released a Great Big God at the top of 2019, and then I did a live recording following that, and we're working on new music. I've released 2 other songs since then. So Great Big God, All I Want Is You, and Testimony are out available now. And then hopefully I'm not really in a rush because of the way the world is operating right now. Absolutely. Not really in a rush. I had a date that I was going to release the whole record, but we've kind of postponed that, provided our circumstances at the moment. But
Mhm.
I have a record that I'm going to be releasing, and it's really my heart. It's really just I want it to be reflective of my relationship with God,
Mhm.
because I've traveled with the Brown Singers for 27 years now. And at the time I started, I wasn't a wife, I wasn't a mother, I was a child. And now here I am. Life is completely different. And even though I love quartet music, sometimes my sentiments don't call for a hand clap and a foot stump. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
just a very, very quiet and intimate moment with God. So I want to be able
Yeah.
to just kind of show my relationship with God through the life of this project, and hopefully it's a blessing to as many people.
Right, right. So in 2017, you started the Loving Me Again retreat. I love that. I love the name of it, Loving Me Again, because there's so many of us who don't have self-love. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll say that we love ourselves because it sounds good, right? And we have the
Right,
pride,
right.
but we're dying on the inside. And we say that we love ourselves, but it's really we're trying to seek attention rather than trying to seek respect. What
Ah,
was the
that's good.
inspiration behind the Loving Me Again retreat?
Oh, wow. Between the ages of 20 and 30, I think I really just didn't know who I was. I would say, in a very transparent moment, that I didn't love myself. I
Mm-hmm.
went through a series of changes. I had two children out of wedlock. And it became very apparent to me that there was a breakdown in the communication between God and me. And I wanted to be able to see myself as He saw me. So at 30, I had to come to Jesus with myself. And I realized the only way that I can, and it really was very relationship oriented, because I had two bad relationships and just all of this. And I was like, look, something is not right. And all the time, it's not everything else. Sometimes it's you. So
Right.
I realized that it was me, and that people will only love me like I love myself. So I went on this, journey to find myself. And I fasted. What started off for 21 days ended up being like 46, 50 days,
Mm.
46 days, 47 days. And God really showed me, and He really showed me how He feels about all of His children.
Mm.
And that really shifted something in me. And I said, you know what? There's probably so many women who feel like I felt, who felt hurt, betrayed, broken, a lot of things that were happening in our life, a lot of variables that cause us to be that way. But I didn't want to focus on those things. I wanted to focus on how do we move forward from here. So look in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror and start to love you right where you are. And
Mm-hmm.
2017, I started the Loving Me Again Women's Retreat. I posted it on Facebook and said,
Right.
how many women will meet me in Birmingham? And I had 300 ladies show up. And every year I've made it my business to continue to do that, so that we continue to be a support system, inspiration, and, kind of encouragement for
Mm-hmm.
the women of our family, because we need that. And I
Yeah.
learned that if I'm not good, my kids are not good. My husband's not good, and at 30, when I did this, I wasn't married. When I started the whole process of trying to find myself, I wasn't married. 2 years later, I got married, and in 2015, and then I had my first Loving Me Again retreat in 2017. So,
Okay.
God does all things well. He
Yeah,
knows
he
how to,
does. Right.
intentionally put things in place. So it's been
Right.
amazing.
I like what you said. We can't expect for people to love us if we don't love ourselves. And transparent with you as well. There was a point where I didn't love myself. And because I didn't love myself, I was attracting the wrong
Absolutely.
energy. Energies are
Absolutely.
contagious, right? And so
Absolutely.
I was wondering, why do I keep meeting the same type of guy? Why do I keep going? It just seemed like it was a pattern that kept going on. And I realized that the problem was me. People will only
Yes.
do to you what you allow them
You
to
allow.
do to you. And because I didn't love myself, and then I thought about it, I had lost my dad at such a young age. And
Mm-hmm.
I lost him at an age where 17, where it was critical to have that dad,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
sort of guide you. And so the people that would try to take on that dad role, they didn't have the right intentions. It was
Right. Right.
manipulative. So it wasn't until, like you said, when I hit 30-ish, I was a little
Yeah,
bit
it's
after
something
30.
about it's something about
Yeah,
that transition that
yeah.
we begin to see ourselves. And our stories are very, very similar. My parents divorced when I was 7.
Mm,
And though I had my father we have or had a good relationship because he wasn't very present. He moved out of state, he got remarried, all those kind of things. And I don't think we realize, and now I'm working on a whole new thing called soul care, because I think we don't realize that there is a void in our life for some areas. And I try to make sure that my daughter, I have a 17-year-old, I try to make sure that we kind of cover that stuff now before, so she won't have to wait until she's 30 to realize that there are some things that were broken inside of her. I'm trying to fix those things now, before she's out of my possession. I want her to know how amazing she is. And though her and her father have a good relationship, it's still different. You know, you kind of understand God's way of doing things. That's why he wanted it to be with a husband, a wife, and they produce, and then you have this whole dynamic. And then, you know, like sometimes that just doesn't work. Like my parents, it didn't work, but at the same time, that foundation and some of those things that you really need to be deposited into you, if they're missing, then you don't know that they're missing until it's almost too late. You know what I'm saying? If making any sense without, you know, because it's so many variables. I try to make it real easy, simple to understand. But yes, so I totally get that. I totally understand.
Yeah. So when you talked about you had 2 kids out of wedlock, I'm gonna be very honest. You know, I was raised traditional Baptist, and some people are so focused on religion and not relationship. And sometimes people can act as if so holier than thou, as if they've never made a mistake, and the church can be very judgmental.
Jesus Christ.
And so I look at church differently. That is like a hospital. The word is a two-edged sword. It's going to get you straight, it's going to get me straight. And I think that's why we are seeing, even before COVID, we have seen a major decline, especially in our generation, millennial generation, of people leaving the church. Did you face any scrutiny as being a quartet singer and having the 2 kids out of wedlock? Did you face that?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I grew up, my grandfather as a Baptist pastor. When we were about 17, we joined an apostolic church. My mother was not very big on like denomination. She was more like wherever we feel comfortable, wherever we feel like we're being fed. And we joined an apostolic church. I got pregnant while I was there. It was one of those things where they sit you down. You can't, you know, all of those moments. So I did have to go through this whole public embarrassment almost, because everybody could see that I made a mistake. I was 19 turning 20 when I had my first kid. And I mean, you know, I remember back then Facebook had what they call it's like an anonymous wall or anonymous something where people could send you messages without you knowing who it was. And I got a bunch of ugly messages like, you know, we don't want you to sing to us, and you got babies and you're not married, and just, you know, it was really bad. And I remember when I got pregnant with my son, I was about 26. That's how I penned the song, This Too Shall Pass. Once I found out I was pregnant, I was so embarrassed. And so just like, how can I do this again? And, you know, I was really broken. And, you know, but it was too late to turn back. And that's the thing about it. A lot of times there are sins that people can cover up, and then there are sins that you can't, you know. And, you know, though there was a sin in the action, I realized that the child was a blessing, and I got to take it. And the only person that I needed to be concerned about forgiving me was God. I repented, prayed. I actually called my pastor when I was 26. I called him. I was like, look, I'm just messed up. I'm broken. You know, I don't know what to do. People they're going to destroy me again when this comes out. He was like, look, you don't need to be worried about them. You need to be worried about God. He was like, get off the phone with me and get on your face. And that's what I did. I got off the phone with him, got on my face. When I got up, I wrote a song, says, This Too Shall Pass.
Wow. So on Thursday nights, I noticed, because I follow you, you started something that's been blessing a lot of people. You started something on Thursday night on Facebook Live, and you have like speakers. Tell us about that and how people can follow that.
Well, that's actually, it's a part of my private group. I have the Love in Me thing. And then we started a private group, which started off being I wrote a 7-day devotional and
Mm-hmm.
workbook that kind of talks about 7 days to loving me. So 7 days of love and about loving yourself, the importance of, different ways of love. Sometimes love is it's what you give, and sometimes it's what other people give you. So we, kind of walk through that for 7 days. So I started that private group. Everybody who downloaded the devotional got an invite to this
Mm-hmm.
private group, and that's kind of how it started. And it really started as a way to encourage. I was going live every day, really just talking about the 7 days. Then it went to, as we were doing that, like God birthed this whole life after series that I started. So it's like life after infidelity, life after divorce, life after, things happen, betrayals, whatever. And so every Thursday I was doing that, and I had some friends come along, Tammy Haddon, Candy West. I had Pastor Sean Strickland, Jay
Mm-hmm.
Renee, who is a very, very successful. She made 6 figures in 1 month doing her
Right.
business. So
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about life after being a boss, and just everything that I do. I want to make sure that I'm encouraging and I'm inspiring. And there's so much awesomeness in all of us. We just got to learn how to tap into it. So I'm on to something else. I've done that, but I'm starting a new recovery series for 2021. We're doing finances right now for the first quarter of the year. And then after that, we're just going to do recovery. I'm going to focus a lot on, I realize that my life is a product of recovery. I've had to bounce back from so many things, from my childhood, from my adult experiences, having children, and, just so many different things. And I learned that recovery is something that happens after a big trauma, something that happens to you that causes this trauma. There's a period where you have to recover. And that's where I'm at in my life. I want to help a lot of people are broken, and they really need to recover. So I'm finishing school. I'm in school.
Oh, really?
Finishing my degree. Yeah. And psychology. I started when I graduated, and because I was always doing music, I would have to stop and, go on tour, or stop and do this and stop and do that. But I'm at a HBCU now, Stillman College, here in
Wow.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm finishing my degree in psychology. I'm really, really excited, hopefully to do some family counseling and to offer some services for the church, because I think mental health and soul care is something that we need to focus on. So that's where I'm
That is
at.
so awesome. We got a lot. I got my bachelor's degree. One of my bachelor's degrees is in psychology. And I went to
Wow.
HBCU. I went to Alcorn in
Come
Mississippi.
on.
I got my undergrad, and then I went and got my graduate at Southern. So I am so proud of you, Lisa.
Thank you.
That is so amazing. I have even greater respect for you going back
Thank
to
you.
school, and we definitely need counseling, because that's one issue that the church doesn't really want to especially focus on, especially the Black community, is mental illness, because we
Yeah.
were always taught, you don't need to go talk to nobody, just pray
Don't
about it,
tell
and
folk your business.
and leave it
Great.
alone, but I think that counseling is healthy. Yeah, I think counseling, whatever you need to do to be healthy, that is a-okay. So it's refreshing to hear that you're going to school to be a psychologist. We don't see a lot of Black psychologists. And so I am, whatever I can do to help you. I mean, I am just here for it. Now, you and your husband, you wrote a book. Tell me about that, and how has marriage changed you?
Woo. Me and my husband did write a book. We wrote a book called Life Happens. And the book is basically about it's alternating chapters, his and her perspectives on our view of what life was going to be until we got married, which was completely, it's really a testament that whatever God's plan is for you, his plan is going to always supersede what your plan is. And his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. He is an intentional God. My husband had a plan on how he thought things were going to go. He went to University of Alabama, majored in, got a degree in engineering, and he's a finance guy, and he was going to save his money, and he was going to have a big house and have cars, and then he was going to get married. And then I was, I was going to, life, if it would have went like I wanted it to go when I was a kid, I was going to have, a husband and 2 children and a dog named Max and a big house and a white picket fence. And God my plans were wrecked. But at the end of the day, whatever God has in store for you, it ended up with us being together, and life, it was completely different than we thought. Hence the title, Life Happens. Things happen, but God's plan is always going to, even if you take a different route, the destination is always going to be the
Oh
same.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
being married, I don't think it changed me, but being married definitely allowed me the opportunity to learn more about myself and a lot about men. Me and my husband have a very great relationship. And one thing we've learned is how to communicate. We sit up when the kids go to bed about 9:30, 10 o'clock, we probably sit up 3-4 hours and just talk some nights. Because it's really true that women are from Venus and men are from Mars.
Right.
So, we have that we really have a lot of conversations about stuff that I think his love for me has healed me a lot.